So in this series, in preparation for Janmashtami, we'll be discussing daily for about 10 to 15 minutes a quick insight into a pastime of Krishna. We'll be going verse by verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, certain chapters, and we'll try to dive into the scripture and understand to some extent the sweetness of the pastimes. So one of the sweetest pastimes in the 10th canto is the Krishna-Sudama pastime. This is described in two chapters, the 10th canto, 80th and 81st. So we'll discuss these chapters one by one. This is 10.80.1. Shri Rajavacha Bhagwan yani chanyani mukundasya mahatmanah viryanyananta viryasya shrotumichhami he prabho. So we know the Bhagavatam is a discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. So in this particular verse we have Bhagwan yani chanyani. So we have the description over here of Krishna, as we'll see over here. Bhagwan yani chanyani mukundasya mahatmana. So that Bhagwan, that Supreme Lord, let's look at what the verse is saying. We'll try to quickly depict each verse, or at least the key verses diagrammatically. So 10.80.1 Mukundasya Mahatmana Viryani Ananta Viryasya Shrotumichhami te Prabho. So in this particular verse, there are four different aspects. First, there is a subject, that is Bhagavan. That is, so Parikshit Maharaj is saying, what do I want to discuss about? I want to Bhagavan. And what is the characteristic of that subject? Subject means the topic of discussion over here. That is, the characteristic is that he is Mukundasya Mahatmanaha. He is the grantor of liberation. Now, Mukunda has many different names, but one of the key names is the grantor of liberation. Mukundasya Mahatmanaha. And the next part is Viryani Ananta Viryasya. And specifically, what is the means by which we can get the gift of liberation that he is planning to give us, that he wants to give us? By his unlimited glories. That liberation ultimately is directing our love towards the Lord, and we learn to direct our love towards the Lord when we understand his glories, understand how wonderful and lovable he is. So, and therefore the aspiration, the desire. Bhakti is not about giving up desires. It is about growing up in understanding what is desirable. While impersonal liberation is about giving up desires, devotional liberation is about growing up in selecting which desires are desirable. So, Shrotumichhami te Prabho. So, hear about the glories. Hear those glories. So, basically, in these verse, this particular verse, the theme that is being talked about is I want to hear about that Lord who grants liberation if we become attracted to him by understanding his glories. Therefore, I want to hear about his glories. While this theme is consistent in the Bhagavatam, if we consider we are here, the Lord is above us, and say here there is the speaker and here there is the seeker. The speaker is going to talk to the seeker. The speaker who has a deep connection, strong connection with the Lord of unlimited glories, and the seeker has some weak connection. So this is a weak connection, this is a thick connection, strong connection. So that through this dialogue, which is what will happen is that appreciation of the glories of the Lord will come here, and by that, by connecting with those whose connection with the Lord is strong, our connection with Him will also become strong. Shrotum ichchami te prabho. That is what is being said over here. So let's look at the next verse. Konu shutva sakrut brahman उत्तम श्लोक सत्कथा विरमेत विशेषज्ञो विषन्नः काममार्गने. So in this verse, a new theming is brought about. So this is 10.1.2 now. It's a rhetorical question. Ko nu shutva asakrut brahman. So it's a, what is the question being asked over here? Who will not hear? Who will not hear about the glories of the Lord? Uttama shloka satkatha. So who will not hear? What is the top? The question is about the topic. Topic is the Lord's glories, the Lord's pastimes. So uttama shloka satkatha, Krishna's glories. While katha refers to the pastimes, but the pastimes reveal the glories. That is the continuity from the previous verse. Viramet visheshagyo. So now the qualification is described of the audience, the hearer, the question and the questioner is described in terms of two characteristics. Who will not stop hearing? So characteristic one is visheshagyo. Visheshagyo means one who understands what is special, what is valuable, what matters in life. So what is special, valuable, essential in life. So saragrahi, as we say. So in one sense, if we consider this point, we'll come back to this. And vishanna kama margane. So the second part is, second qualification is that Vishanna is a person who has become detached, disillusioned. Kama margane. So detached from what appears to be special. That in the material world, sensual pleasure, food, sex objects, they all appear to be special, but they are not. What appears desirable, what appears not just desirable, sometimes it appears irresistible. So each one of us desirable is, hey, that's nice. Irresistible is, I can't live without this. So the question here is that while we are in the world, there are many objects that may seem attractive to us. This could be some sense object. Kama margane, that means while kam can refer to lust, it refers to our selfish desire in general. And here there is above us Krishna. So for most of us, our desires are directed this way, normally speaking. This is the normal desire that we have. What we find desirable, essential. Now this is actually, to desire Krishna is the special desire. So special is visheshagyo. So we have to have the special understanding to have this desire. So bhakti involves redirection from the normal to the special, and once we understand how this is so desirable, how Krishna is actually so attractive, then once we understand this, while initially there might be a tussle between the two, but with time, what will happen is, the objects that are there in the world, will have no interest in these objects. There will be no desire in this direction. And even if there is not a strong desire, there will be a strong desire for the desire. Strong desire for a strong desire. So we have spiritual growth means that we have a strong desire for Krishna, or at least we have a strong desire for a strong desire for Krishna. So ko nu shrunaya shrutva asakrut. Once we understand that by hearing, so there is a desire for Krishna and there is a desire for hearing about Krishna. So hearing about Krishna and Krishna himself. So what happens here is that first the evolution of desire is, this is where our desire is. I need to hear about Krishna. So we get the desire to hear about Krishna, and by hearing about Krishna, we get the desire for Krishna. And in this way, we grow in our devotional life. This is what is being sought by Parikshit Maharaj when he says, I want to hear more and more about you, O Lord. Thank you.